Well, apparently it's okay to advocate for defunding the police, well, as long as you own your own personal security measures are fulfilled. Congresswoman Cori Bush spent tens of thousands of dollars in campaign expenditures to meet those needs. According to FEC records, Bush spent nearly $70,000 for personal security measures, or a whopping 35% of her overall campaign budget. A rather surprising turn of events for a woman who has never missed an opportunity to join in with the chorus of those on the far left to defund the police. Take a listen.
I am for defunding the police.
How hard will you work starting next January as part of a national movement to defund the police?
Same energy that I've put in on the streets of Ferguson, that same energy is what I will have to make sure that that defund is first understood and that we bring that home to our community.
We compromise on so much, we compromise, we die. We compromise, we die. We compromise, we die.
Well, Representative Bush has been a big critic of law enforcement, but newsflash, the majority of Americans can't afford private security, and we actually need the police. So, Carly, what do you make of the fact that she spent about $70,000 in 3 months on her own private security detail?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's embarrassing. It's totally embarrassing for her to criticize police constantly and then secretly have her own security detail. She also posted a tweet once saying, if you're having a bad day, just think of all the social services we are going to fund after we defund the Pentagon. So she's calling for defunding security on a local level with police and a national level with the Department of Defense, all while having her own personal security. She's also the lead sponsor of a bill that calls for mental health experts to be called into certain situations rather than the police, which begs the question, what happens to those mental health experts if something gets dangerous? Do they then have to call police for backup? So this is a situation where lawmakers should practice what they preach if they really don't believe in the current security system that we have. I'm glad she didn't. I'm glad she's not, because I don't want anything bad to happen to her. I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody else. And I hope that she gets on that level at some point, too.
Well, now, Joe, I know that, you know just about everybody. You're up on all of your social media. I think most people wouldn't be able to pick Representative Bush out of a lineup. I mean, as compared to some of the more, media in front people like at AOC, when you compare her spending, especially on security and other campaign expenditures, we have the numbers here. She spends so much more of some of these other people that, maybe probably should be spending some more money. I mean, take a look at that. $69,000 by Representative Bush, $4,000 for AOC, $2,800 for Ilhan Omar, and $3,500 for Ayanna Pressley. Why did she need so much private security, Joe?
It's fascinating, right? Because she's not very high profile. To your point, AOC, infinitely more high profile, something like 13 million Twitter followers, and never met a microphone she didn't like, and does many more interviews. To your point, you couldn't pick out Cori Bush out of a lineup if it presented to 99% of the American people. But boy, it must be nice to have that kind of money laying around to get this kind of security while calling for defunding the police. And by the way, when you defund the police or reallocate funds or however you want to spin it, the people hit by this hardest are those in inner cities who are poor, who are minorities. And we see the crime skyrocketing in places from New York to Atlanta to Minneapolis to Seattle to Portland down to Los Angeles and all across the country in major cities because police morale is at an all-time low while resignations are at an all-time high. This is a serious, serious problem. And again, even though this is the fringe of the Democratic Party calling for defunding the police, if you don't think that Republicans are going to turn that into an attack ad to attack the entire party in 2022 and paint them as soft on crime, you got another thing coming, and this will be a top 3 issue come 2022 midterms.
I agree. And meanwhile, Leo, where she is in St. Louis, homicides are up 21% early 2021. What do you think that her advocacy and the continued defunding the police movements are going to do for those homicide rates?
Increase dramatically. I want to be very clear because Democrats have a hard time, Dr. Nicole, of understanding issues. Cori Bush is a fraud. A fraud. Why? Because she wants protection. And like Carly said, everyone should be protected, no harm to anyone. But she's a fraud, and she's hurting her own people. This is the Congresswoman on the 4th of July who said that black people aren't free. She makes $170,000, but she's not free. She got private security, but she's not free. Think about this. It's the idiocy of the Democratic Party and this fringe movement. She complains about being black. She complains about the victimization of black. She does not speak for me. She speaks for her district, and hopefully that will end in 2022.
Wow. All right, well, we'll see.